Most people run from rejection as if it's a curse, but if you understood what it actually is, you'd start chasing it like a lion stalks prey, because rejection, when used correctly, becomes the most brutal and effective sharpening stone for your character, your will, and your freedom. Yes, freedom, because rejection is not the end. It is a filter, a signal, a divine sorting mechanism that cuts through illusion and gifts you only what is essential. And until you learn to welcome its sting without flinching, you will remain a prisoner of approval, a slave to fear, and a stranger to your own potential. Ask yourself, what if every no you've received was secretly a test of your inner stability, a disguised opportunity to embrace amor fati, not just loving what happens, but loving rejection itself, folding it into your identity like the Stoics did, using it as a forge rather than a wound. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that what stands in the way becomes the way, and that includes doors slammed in your face, messages left unread, and dreams deferred not by fate, but by fragile ego. You think rejection proves your inadequacy, but what it actually reveals is your dependency on outcomes, on validation, on external control. And Epictetus warned that it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. So the pain you feel is not from the rejection, but from your story about it, your attachment to how things should have gone. And until you unhook from that illusion, rejection will control you, like a puppeteer pulls strings. Real power comes when you learn to seek rejection, not because you enjoy failure, but because you understand that each no is a needle that pierces the ego and lets the poison of entitlement leak out, leaving behind clarity, calm, and control. And if you want proof, look at Seneca, who said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." And what is rejection, if not friction, against your expectations, the exact resistance needed to strip away your delusions? So here's the first secret. The more you are rejected, the more invincible you become. Not emotionally dead, but emotionally untouchable, because you've trained yourself to stop interpreting resistance as threat and instead see it as data. A rejection is just someone or something telling you you're not yet the right fit for that moment. And that moment is not your enemy, it's your mirror. So stare into it without blinking and extract the lesson it's hiding. The second lesson is more dangerous. Rejection will reveal who you are pretending to be, because every time you contort yourself to avoid hearing no, you betray your authenticity, and eventually that mask you wear will crack from the pressure. So embrace rejection as a compass pointing you back to truth, and remember that the Stoic sage does not fear judgment because he is already self-contained, like the man in the Enchiridion who knows that nothing outside his own reasoned choices is truly his concern. The third lesson is even darker. Rejection is a warning, a cold whisper from the universe that you've placed your identity in the hands of others, and that is a spiritual suicide, because to build your worth on acceptance is to stand on sinking sand, but to build it on virtue, as the Stoics demanded, is to root yourself in granite, immovable and steady, no matter how many doors are slammed in your face, no matter how many people forget your name, no matter how many times you are told you are not enough. Because when you are enough for yourself, rejection loses its teeth. Now, here's the fourth and most hidden lesson. Rejection is a secret form of redirection, and if you learn to read it like a map instead of an insult, you'll start finding your path, not through yeses, but through all the no's that pushed you away from vanity, away from illusion, away from wasting time on things that never truly belong to you. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it, Seneca warned. And most wasted time comes from chasing things that were never yours to begin with. So next time you're rejected, ask yourself, what lie was I just saved from? What illusion was I spared the pain of discovering too late? And finally, the fifth lesson, rejection is a forge, and you are the raw ore. And the more you are rejected, the more you are burned, hammered, and refined into something unbreakable. And if you run from that process, you remain dull, brittle, and fragile. But if you lean into it, you develop anti-fragility, the kind described by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, but practiced centuries earlier by Stoic masters who did not just survive rejection, they weaponized it, turned it into indifference toward public opinion, discipline in the face of uncertainty, and serenity in storms where others broke apart. And if you think this is just theory, look at your life. How many times did rejection push you into the exact path you were meant to take? How many failed relationships saved you from a life of resentment? How many job rejections forced you to create your own path? How many doors had to close before you stopped knocking and started building your own? The brutal truth is this: you've wasted too much energy trying to be accepted, when the Stoic path demands you learn to stand alone, unshaken, a citadel of self-command. And when you do, rejection becomes not a wound, but a weapon, not a punishment, but a purification. And if you dare to live that way, to court discomfort, to welcome the test, then rejection will no longer break you. It will reveal you, the way storms reveal the strength of a fortress, and silence reveals the depth of your inner voice. So stop fearing rejection and start hunting it, because the more it bruises your pride, the more it frees your soul.